All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is going to be the silver sponsor tier for Dare to Be Great 2, the vendor hall sessions. I am very happy to have Agency 360 here with Matt and Karin. They're going to be taking you through this great session, and there's going to be a lot of things as well going on. There's a poll that is up there. Make sure to go in there and answer that, and we'll go over that at the end of the session. Take it away, you guys.
Thanks, Ricardo. We are so excited to be talking to the Dare to Be Great crowd today. We're going to discuss a lot. We're going to talk about the three core areas that you can implement a great employee experience. And we're going to preview some new Agency 360 features. And, this is going to be pretty interactive. We're going to expect a little work on your end because we've got giveaways. That's right. We've got some giveaways. We've got 4 Amazon gift cards varying in value, I think $50, $25, etc., that we're going to be giving away to some lucky winners. Even if you're not live in attendance, you'll still be able to be a part of the giveaways. We're accepting entries until November 1st. So it should be fun for those that are recording or viewing the recording. And we've got some serious things to discuss, but we want to make this fun too, so don't be too uptight. Karin, do you follow politics much?
A little bit.
A little bit. I don't know if you see.
Especially lately.
Yeah, the president's been tweeting a lot, which is a little different for a president. And actually, last night he tweeted about us.
Nice.
Pretty cool to be on the president Twitter feed there. Very exciting. Very proud of that. Not to be outdone, Joe Biden, the other presidential candidate, chimed in about us as well. And this is what he said. Not a bunch of malarkey. Hey, those are 2 pretty good reviews, I think, from the presidential candidates. We're the real deal.
I think so.
Think we're the real deal? Well, we've got a poll question going. And that poll question is, how many times in the last 6 months have you questioned why the heck you're doing this? Why you're working at this organization? And that poll's running right now. And we're getting a lot of responses. And it's normal. I think any job, you're going to have ups and downs. Now, even here at Agency 360, there's days when I'm like, what am I doing? I just want to get a sense here. The votes are coming in, so you can look at that. One of the times when I felt that way, when I really questioned what I was doing, I was working at the police department, and at the police department, we did 12-hour shifts. And I found that taking my first break in the morning and using it to work out really helped with some of the stress, and I was having a lot of stomach issues and wasn't sleeping well. But I found working out in the morning made a dent and helped things out. And so that's what I started to do for a couple of months. But on this particular day, things were a little different. I had a supervisor that I did not like, who's my least favorite supervisor, was in charge of the shift. And here's how the conversation went. Karin, why don't you pretend to be dispatch? Have you ever worked dispatch before?
I have not.
Oh, this will be fun then. So you get to pretend to be a dispatcher for a minute. So I'd radio in and I said, 2183 dispatch. 2183 was my number. And then Karin, you just repeat and acknowledge that I'm trying to talk to you. So you'd say 2183.
2183.
And then I'd respond, 2183, I'll be out signal 12. Signal 12 means lunch. And then Karin, just to confirm, you would say clear 2183, signal 12.
Clear 2183, signal 12.
Great job. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is she ready for a job? That's pretty good. And that's what I had done every time for the past few months. But this time things were different. After I radioed that in, my supervisor reached out to me. 2183, 2134. That was my supervisor, 2134. 2134, go ahead. 2183, signal 12, denied. What? Again? Oh man, that freaking jerk. Every time he's in charge of the shift, he does something like this to me. And this sergeant, I felt, had been a prick to me for months now. And he's doing this just to get under my skin. And that was the thought process for the rest of the day as I wondered, why am I working here? And that's just one incident. There's times, one incident of many. There's times when my hard work wasn't noticed. There are times when I felt like the organization didn't prepare me for a call that they expected me to handle flawlessly. When I got docked on my performance evaluation for an expectation I didn't know about. When I felt like my skills and knowledge were not being used to their fullest. And when I was not meeting my own personal and career goals because I felt like the leadership didn't understand me or my talents. All of these moments continued to pile up like darts in my back. I felt like a cog in a wheel of a system that didn't care about me. Eventually, after too many times, I quit. And a key point here is I didn't quit because of the work, the calls, the dealing with the public. I wasn't tired of or afraid to risk my life to save someone. I quit because the internal issues became too heavy of a weight to carry. After too long, eventually I gave up, just like so many of the other good people today. Now, ironically, I actually ran into my former chief just a couple of years ago. We were at a charity event. And after conversing with him for a little while, it became clear, even though I didn't feel like it at the time, it became clear that he did care. But in the process of running the organization, in the process of delegating and managing all of the multiple hats and craziness of everyday life, his caring was not getting through to me down at the front lines. But what if we could reduce those instances with a systematic approach? How many good people would stay if a caring culture was embedded into our operations? Now, I don't think it's any secret to this audience, the problem of retention and the cost. We're dealing with a staff which reports 40% say they're burned out. On average, we're losing about 20% of our staff every year. Some agencies, you know who you are, it's even higher. And while the industry as a whole is expected to grow, most of the opportunities and the openings are going to come from dispatchers who leave. A 10-year veteran that was a great CTO, but was also on the team that helped implement the CAD system. Oh, that knowledge or expertise is never coming back. And let's not forget the pressure on the rest of the staff and morale that have to fill that huge void. Studies show again and again it is far more costly to find and train another employee than to retain one. Oh, here is our first opportunity to make an entry and win some of these giveaways. So Karin, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so again, we're giving away those Amazon gift cards. So if you just email your answer to this question here, what happens if we don't change course? And you can submit those all the way up until November 1st. Just email those over to sales@agency360.com.
Give everybody a minute. Open your email client. We know you're in your computer already. Open your email client. Put in sales@agency360.com. Subject line doesn't matter. We'll get it either way. You can put Dare to Be Great, D2BG, if that helps. And brainstorm, what happens if we let this continue? If we continue to go down this course for the next 5 to 10 years in this industry? Now, as you're writing that, I've been brainstorming that myself and thinking through what that means. And here's some of the ideas I came up with. I mean, beyond just having ongoing hiring processes and constant interviews, if you're dealing with a new cadre of people endlessly, you're going to need a policy for every single little detail. And you're going to need more managers to enforce every micro little detail. If people are leaving, they're going to hesitate to build these real relationships because the person they're building the relationship with might be gone soon. And eventually it's going to lead to a culture where people don't care because they don't expect to stay. Or worse, develop a lack of respect for the position. Now, we at Agency 360, we don't want this to happen. I mean, that's why we founded Agency 360. I've been crushed by this internal junk that makes you feel unappreciated and unfulfilled. But we believe public safety is an important profession and such an honorable career. And we need more good people to come and to stay. So that's why Agency 360 is here, to help your agency build those connections, improve communication, and reduce the burnout that gets them to leave. Our mission is to create software tools that help you measure, develop, and retain your amazing employees. How do we do that? See, I believe the difference between creating a good experience and a great one, this is Dare to Be Great, we're talking about how to be great, is whether those tools and techniques to help them stay are consistently implemented across the organization. Now, there's 3 basic categories to consider when trying to systematize the employee experience. One is to know them individually. We can't help each other until we understand each other. And that can take a lot of forms. I'm sure you've seen a lot of classes about different ways to get to know each other and build that kind of culture. One of the questions we'd like to ask, and Karin, if you want to take this is part of our giveaway.
Yeah, so this one here, what are some goals of others in your organization? Again, same process here, just send your answers to sales@agency360.com, and we'll be accepting those until November 1st.
So open up your email, put in the 2-bar sales@agency360.com, and see if you can think of some goals of other members of your team. Do you know what some of their career goals or personal goals, what they're trying to achieve, what they're trying to do? If you've got some examples, just email those over and we'll enter you in to win the Amazon gift card. Give you guys a few moments to put in those goals. For me, I was in public safety for almost 12 years, and not once did anybody ask me what my goals were. Now, it's not the organization's fault completely. I never communicated them up either. If a supervisor would have known my desire to be on the SWAT team, how hard would it have been to have them connect me to someone on the team or help me prepare for the next test? That wouldn't have been that hard. Or what about my interests? If other people knew that I liked to run, I was pretty athletic, that I enjoyed playing ultimate frisbee, You stop with the jokes. Maybe we could have built some more connections. The next time there was a police fire charity basketball game and we didn't have enough officers available for it, maybe somebody would have called me up. They would have seen that somewhere. They would have known that, hey, Matt likes this pretty athletic guy. Maybe he'd be good for the basketball game. It would have been easier with that knowledge to make those connections. Now, at Agency 360, we want to make that easy. And so we have a new goals tracking feature coming out in the next 30 days that's going to allow the employee to document their goals and for all the supervision to see them. Whether you're doing a performance evaluation or just changing their password, you'll have access to their goals and their interests, by the way, not just their goals. You can see what their passions are. And by keeping it in a central place and making it visible to everybody on the team, we'll create connections. People will see that. People will connect the dots. So, step 1, know the person individually. Step 2, develop their skills. When I came into the industry, I had no background in public safety. And after you've been in a few years, you guys can all relate to this, you forget what it's like to be at ground zero. You can't do the job well unless you're prepared to face the challenges that are coming at you. This is one of the reasons why we really love CTO type of programs. Just because you can pass the written test doesn't mean you're ready to answer that 911 call, not to mention that NCIC hit. So this leads us to our next opportunity to win some of our awesome giveaways. Karin, you want to take away here?
Sure. Go ahead and email the answer to sales@agency360.com and let us know the best thing you learned from your trainer when you started.
So, what was one of the best things you learned from your trainer? Put that in an email, send it out to sales@agency360. Maybe tomorrow or the next day when you share some of these videos with your team, they can do the same thing and win an opportunity to win some gift cards. Karin, an NCIC hit. I don't know exactly how it is today, but back when I started, we had to work dispatch, and NCIC was this, command line, archaic computer system that we had to use. And if you got a hit, if someone had found a stolen article or something, you had 15 minutes or something like that, 25 minutes to type in a response. And I remember my fear of getting any kind of NCIC hit while I was working in dispatch. The 911 call is bad enough, but having to use this NCIC system was incredibly intimidating at the time. So 2 weeks into my job at Carmel, I was with my training officer, 2 weeks, brand new. We're driving around at night at 2 a.m. and we're looking at windows, scanning, just trying to get to know the streets. And as we turned down this dark street, all of a sudden, clunk, clunk, there was these huge landscaping retaining wall blocks, whatever, just in the middle of the street. And I hit them hard. I started to freak out. And by the way, that's an actual picture from the accident report. And, I just wrecked the newest car that I'd ever driven, that I'd ever owned. Here, this organization trusted me with this vehicle, and 2 weeks in, I mess it all up. But I'll never forget the calmness of my trainer. He was so collected as he explained that we needed to report it to the supervisor. And of course, I'm freaking out. That feels like an F. You feel like you got a really bad grade at this point, and you're going to fail out. But what this trainer taught me is not to fear the process. The process treats it like a bad thing, but one of the things I learned in that experience from that trainer is not to fear it. Like, it's just part of how things go. This is, again, another reason why I love these CTO programs so much, because they teach you more than just how to do the job. The right trainer teaches you how to mentally survive the job. I had another trainer during FTO, the police version of the CTO program, and he would crack all kinds of silly jokes. And that humor would be a lifesaver. We joke about old ladies carrying AR-15s in their purse. Or we point out the driver's ed vehicle. It's got all the driver's ed stickers on the side, and we would debate whether that was enough probable cause to pull them over for an unlicensed driver. So we made it fun. And, just being able to pass the test, the job takes more than that. Now, if you don't know, Agency 360 has an amazing CTO program that's continuing to get better to help make sure your employees have the skills and experience to do the job in real life. You got a ton of things going on, and documentation shouldn't be that hard. We try to make it as easy as we can, and it's completely customizable. So you can break it out into your different seats, or even better, do an onboarding program for different positions, like a new supervisor. Just because they were a good dispatcher, they'd been there a certain amount of years, doesn't mean they're going to be a great supervisor. They need training too. So, great stuff coming there. So point number 2, develop their skills. Number 3, communicate clear expectations. Now, you should have high standards. The public demands it, and honestly, people like working somewhere where they're challenged. But when you don't enforce it across the board, or you don't clearly communicate what they are, it can lead to a feeling that you don't care. So this leads us to our last opportunity to win some of the giveaways. If you can answer this question, Karin?
Yeah, so again, email us, sales@agency360.com, and let us know something that confuses you about your annual evaluation.
Have you ever been confused about your annual evaluation? There's something about it that doesn't make sense. You answer that question. We'll give you a few minutes to put that into your email or pull it up on your phone. I don't know if anybody's watching this on their phone. Swipe. Which direction do you have to swipe, Karin, to get?
Let me ask my teenager.
Take some entries there.
And don't forget, we'll be accepting entries until November 1st. And again, that giveaway is for Amazon gift cards.
Is this our attempt to fund public safety? There's all this talk about defunding. Is this Agency 360 trying to fund public safety?
I hope so. Anything we can do to help.
That's right. If you want to take that gift card and put it towards your general fund, go right ahead. There's nothing holding you back there. So communicate clear expectations. Later in my career, I became pretty good, believe it or not, even after that hitting the blocks kind of thing. I actually ended up becoming pretty good at driving around the neighborhoods with my lights off at night and catching all kinds of mischief. I was a patient kind of person, observant, and like when we got a tip that all the surrounding areas had their CVS hit on a certain night, I would stake out the CVS. I'd spend hours on my shift just hiding there. I'd skip lunch in the hopes of catching something instead of waiting to take the report afterwards. I thought that was my job until we got a new supervisor on the shift. and I got my evaluation, and I got docked for not having enough activity, i.e. traffic stops. Another dagger in the back. What I thought was important and what the organization thought was important were not in alignment. So how can we get clear communication that can reduce that friction? And remember too, it's not just about what is expected, but what does above and beyond look like? I had my vision of above and beyond, stopping these CVS break-ins that are going on across the state. But the organization maybe didn't think that was as important. And we need to get on the same page. Agency 360 has a brand new performance evaluation program so that you can do your annual evaluations, however often you do them. If you do them every quarter or once a year, that helps ensure that all supervisors are grading and using the same criteria for every employee. And just like in the CTO program, that criteria is at their fingertips. There can be no more discrepancy among the staff about what a good job looks like. Very excited about this new program and new feature, and there's more updates coming to it in the next release. So 3, communicate clear expectations. So with Agency 360, you can make all these components automatic in your organization. And when you implement a strong platform, you'll immediately have the tools to systematically create strong relationships and have that embedded into your organization's DNA. Now, Karin, if they want to learn more and see more details about Agency 360 and how all these features work, what do they need to do?
Yeah, reach out to us. Again, that email, sales@agency360.com. But we're happy to provide any information, give you a full tour of the program. Again, whatever you need, just let us know. Send us an email and we'll reach back out to you.
Nice. And that's not going to overload your email, is it, Karin?
I'm happily accepting emails.
There'll be a lot of emails to process on that email account. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back and remind ourselves about this position. Just imagine those time and cost savings when the hiring processes are not going on indefinitely. When people understand what is expected of them and feel prepared to meet the challenges. When good communication is a natural part of your team. Good people will stop slipping through the cracks because they feel unappreciated, unprepared, and overwhelmed. And with the right tools, you can reduce the internal issues that cause people to leave. When you make best practices the default at your organization, you can create a great employee experience. Because, again, most people don't leave because of the outside forces. It's because of the internal stuff that don't support them, that don't create understanding, don't improve the communication. And public safety is an amazing career. And in order to meet the increasing standards, we need more good people in the ranks. But more than that, we need the good people we have to stay. There's all kinds of ways to embed good culture into your organization's DNA. But Agency 360, we want to make it easy. Make it the default, just the way you always do it. So people are less likely to get lost in the cracks. Whether it's tracking goals, creating onboarding or CTO programs, or just setting clear expectations. Agency 360 has the tools to help you communicate clearly to build those relationships and hopefully retain the best people. That's most of our prepared remarks for today. Sales at Agency 360. Karin, do you want to review? I guess we could go through the other resources we have available.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you can either reach out to us via email or check out our website. We have free resources available. We do have a cost calculator that you can download, as well as case studies. So, and anything else you need, again, reach out. We're happy to share.
We will be taking the submissions for the giveaways until November 1st. So feel free to continue to pass this around and have your team submit, and up the chances of someone winning. Karin, did this stir any thoughts from you? We'll just kind of have an open discussion here if anybody has questions in the chat.
Yeah, actually, I was just looking at the chat myself. So did anyone have any questions or?
One of the things I always find interesting is, and I don't know the answer. I mean, we'd have to survey people to find out. But if you ask somebody who left, let's say there was a good person that left, and you ask them why they left, and you ask their supervisor why they left, would those be in alignment?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times some of the feedback we hear is that's not always the case, right? That brings up that consistency, and a lot of times those answers look quite different.
Yeah, I don't think my supervisors understood why I left. They probably thought, well, he's a bad culture fit, or he just didn't get it. And to their point, there are definitely some things I did wrong. So no doubt about that. But that's why creating these systematic approaches is the way to go. Give the employee the opportunities and make sure the supervision is getting the right opportunities to do the right thing too.
Absolutely. So you brought up a couple of things that your trainer helped you with. What would you say the number one thing you learned from your trainer was? What made you stay as long as you did?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the trainers, I definitely wouldn't have stayed I wouldn't have lasted as long. Those darts in the back would have broke me sooner. Before I answer that real quick, someone's asking if the tour is free. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no charge, free tour of Agency 360 when you reach out. We'll put it on our dime. I mean, it's those mental things. It's not so much the skills, but how to mentally deal with the job, how to do it and enjoy it were critical to me staying as long as I did. If it wasn't for those trainers and what they did, I'm forever grateful. Not only for the mental training they get. I mean, in police work, I mean, there's no doubt their training saved my life. So if it weren't for my trainers, I'm not even sure I'd be here right now.
Yeah, I think that's echoed. I do hear that a lot as well. Just the value of the trainer in the organization. And we know that, especially in dispatch with all the multitasking that's being done. At the beginning you said, have I ever been a dispatcher? No, I haven't, and I don't think I could. I am in absolute awe of dispatchers. But the consistency and the objectivity with everything else that's going on, that's kind of what we hear too on, when we talk to folks, is it's got to be easy for trainers, right? So it's that consistency easily embedded into your culture, just as you said.
Yeah, and streamlined, centralized. There's not a gazillion different places people need to go. Trying to keep it all together. Oh, I couldn't agree more, Cassie. Definitely heading in the right direction. We've got more work to do, but the direction is great, especially in communications and comm centers. I wish I could say that that attitude is permeated to the other parts of public safety. It is, but not as hard as it has in communications. So hopefully we'll keep spreading the message to the other parts of public safety too.
And thank you for your service over 25 years. That's amazing.
It's amazing. So for those that take the NINA course, we've got a question about how to obtain the free 6-month trial. So when you take the NINA CTO course, Leslie Whittam, one of the points, and by the way, Leslie has a great class. There's a lot of great trainers out there. Leslie has a great CTO class, and one of the things she talks about there, we talk about knowing the employee, knowing the person. One of her key points is knowing how they learn. Are they visual, audio, kinetic? I think those are her 3 ways, and understanding that can help you connect with that person and help you educate them. But as part of that relationship, we have a 6-month free trial of Agency 360. So to get access to that, it's going to sound like a repeating record, Karin.
Sales at agency360.com.
That's right. Just shoot an email over to sales@agency360.com, and probably you, right, Karin? You'll speak directly to Karin, and we'll get that taken care of for you.
Yep, happy to.
There's other trainers too. I know even during right now, I think Joe has a session about DISC. These are great. These are just other ways to get to know your employee. Knowing that they're an introvert versus an extrovert, or an INTJ versus something else. Enneagram styles, those are all great. I mean, think about how powerful it is for a supervisor, say a supervisor who's an extrovert, to understand that when they present that evaluation to the introvert employee, that employee isn't going to have an answer right away. That they're not going to be able to answer your questions, that they're going to need time to sit on this information, and maybe, give it a day, 24 hours later, then they'll have a response to you. I mean, that's the kind of thing we're trying to create with the Agency 360 platform, is to make that information clear. It's exciting stuff. We're just getting warmed up. See if there's any other questions. We can check in on our poll. How many times in the last 6 months have you questioned why you work at your organization? We've got 30% seem to be doing pretty good. I mean, a lot's happened in the last 6 months, so that's pretty darn good. You guys are doing some great things. Almost 50% a couple times through COVID and everything else. A few more a lot of times. It's good to know. It's a good self-check. I think one of the points, too, that we didn't talk about in all of these, about creating a system and automating some of this culture stuff. And I think we probably should have mentioned it, Karin, it's not just about knowing the employee, but you need to implement these things on yourself, too.
Very true.
Right? Like, you need to know your goals. You should know, your personality type, what your interests are, what are your expectations, and I think that's going to help as well. Oh, Ricardo's here.
Hey, what's going on?
We're good, man. How are you?
All right, excellent. No, I was going through here. I was waiting for another slide to come up. You're going through your session here and stuff, and you got through the polls. The question that was there as well. I'm glad I see that in the comments that someone had pulled that up, which is good. So the way those questions work as well, and for all those who are watching, and those who are watching when you come in the replay, is when you go to look for that question, you'll be able to click on that, and it'll actually take them to the exact moment that you spoke and answered that question. So that is awesome. And it has been excellent to be here and to hear you talk about all of this stuff. You and I met how many years ago now?
Oh man, it's hard to count. Yeah, maybe 5. I'm trying to remember. But it's been a joy ever since, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, it's been good. We have been buddies since then, and talking about a bunch of different things. And when you and I first started talking, and you were telling me about everything that you all were doing, you and your crew, I thought, man, I wish I had something like that when I was dispatching. I think I told you a story that at one time we were doing. We were so short staffed that we were all trainers. We weren't, some of us weren't certified CTO, but we were all trainers because we needed to get everyone going, right? And but we didn't have anything like what you provide, and this makes it so much easier and streamlined to be able to do it, keep track, and just everything that you're doing, man. I love it, and I wish that I had it back then when that was going on, because it would have helped so much.
I think that's what motivates all of us here at the team too. I think we think the same thing. If we would have had this sooner, what kind of dent could we have made? We can't change the past, but let's try and change the future.
Right. Exactly. It's been a pleasure to have you both on here and to share all of your information. Just everything on the build up to this session and stuff. It has been a pleasure. Now, you said that you guys were getting creative and stuff, and I was watching throughout, and I thought, this is good. I like it. I'm digging it.
We'll see. How would you? I mean, maybe if we got. Do you have a few minutes, Ricardo? Or
of course, yeah. We've got a couple of minutes here before we wrap up.
Maybe we should
unfocus.
Yeah, maybe we should ask Ricardo. I mean, you haven't been out of the industry that long. What's one thing that you found very valuable that your trainer taught you?
Oh man, there's a lot of things. I guess to just one of the things was to make friends with everybody who was out in the field and get to know how they work, and so that they can get to know how I would work, so that they would feel comfortable, and then I would feel comfortable, and it just made everything so much better. So that was one of the things, because in some centers, some people, they don't really talk to those that are out on the road, and others do. So I thought that was very beneficial to be able to do that. And for real, in the beginning, I didn't really know a lot of them, so it wasn't hey, you're my homeboy or whatever. It was it's the new guy who's on the radio. But once I started talking with them and stuff, and really learning about them, and them learning about me and everything, it was like that. So really, it was making that human connection with everybody that's out there.
Makes a dent.
Mm-hmm.
What was there when you first started? Let's just say after your first year, did you have goals? Did you have like career goals? Were you envisioning yourself 30 years in the comm center?
In the beginning, I did. I did see myself being, going to supervisor, which I did, and then going to, be a director or deputy director, whichever. But then also I've got kind of a tech background too, so maybe some sort of tech admin liaison between IT and dispatch, because I've got the 911 background, but to be able to do something on that end. But then when I started doing everything that I'm doing now, I realized I would be able to help out a lot more. Even though it sucked to leave, I did not want to leave. I loved the job. I still do in the industry, but I knew that by moving on and doing everything that I'm doing, I would still be able to assist in a way.
Yeah, I hear that. It's you miss it still, don't you?
I do, man. Yeah. Everybody in the comments, everybody watching and everything, I definitely miss it. Yeah.
Me too. All right. Last question. Mm-hmm. Were you ever, you don't have to deal with performance evaluations now, but were you ever confused with your performance evaluation when you were working? Did you have performance evaluations?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we did. We had, we did have some that would come in, and I remember, I'm trying to remember if it was every 6 months or I can't remember exactly how often we had it, but there were a few that would come in and I would look at it and I would think, okay, some of this I don't really understand, and others, how are you tracking this performance? And a couple of things that I would get marked down on, and I'm trying to remember now what it was, and it probably was something that I really didn't care about at the time. and I thought, I'm just going to do it the way I do it, and I don't care. I think it was mainly the radio etiquette. That was one of the ones. I would joke on the radio sometimes when there was nothing going on. Of course, I would do that, and I think that was one of them. And that was the one where I was like, I'm going to do it anyway because you got to have something that kind of breaks up the craziness that is 911 sometimes. But some of the other things that I really wanted to work on, I did work on them, and then they would come back, and then I would think, okay, I don't understand this. Like it's written in a way like, hey, you're doing good, but you're not really doing good. So I don't know. It was an odd way of getting that performance back. So yeah, there were times that I was confused. Like, what am I supposed to do, man?
Yeah. And one of the things we see a lot too is all the comments on your evaluation are from the last month, because the supervisor's putting it together right there, and all they can remember is what's happened in the last couple of weeks. And like, this is a year-long evaluation, and all of your comments are about something that's happened in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened in the last 11 months?
Yeah. So with what you guys provide, I mean, it just streamlines. It makes it so much better. And everyone who's in this session, please make sure to check out what with Matt and Karin and the rest of the crew are doing. When this was coming up, you had reached out to me already, but I already had you like, I need to get them on here so that people know more about Agency 360 and everything that they're doing. So thank you very much for all of it, and for coming in and doing this session. And I'll be able to get the poll information, and if you need that as well, I'll be able to send that to you all.
That's great, Ricardo. We're honored to be here, man. This work you're doing is awesome, and we just want to help continue. I think someone mentioned it earlier, like continue this kind of thought process in the industry.
Perfect. Thank you both very much for joining. And for the rest who are here, we will be going into the next session here shortly, and it'll be excellent. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ricardo.
Thanks, Ricardo.
All right. Thank you, Karin. Have a good one.
You too.